fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
What's up, guys? Joe Simons here. What you were about to see and or listen, depending on where you're listening or watching this, is what you'll never see out there on the fishing TV shows or even YouTube, for instance. And this is just what happens on a tough day. We went out, we've heard some amazing feedback from these live, like on the water reports. We go to a brand new spot we have never fished before. There's no pre-fishing. We just go there and start filming. And what you're seeing here, if you're watching this on YouTube, is very first cast, before we'd even really started getting mic'd up and going, Luke actually catches a redfish. And we should have stuck with that plan. We should have kept fishing the docks. You'll see later in this podcast, we finally catch a redfish after this was a brutal day, but this is real life. And that's why we want to show this. This is what really happens when you only have an hour to fish. So we had 45 minutes to catch fish in a brand new spot after a really nasty cold front. It's windy. If you're watching this, you can see what we're wearing. We got all our foul weather gear on. It was just pure nasty. A day we normally wouldn't have fished. This would have been an office day. And yet we went and we did. And there's Luke actually catching a redfish on the brand new Slam Shady prototype without a tail. Really cool. We talk about that in the podcast. But we want to show this to you because this is real life. We all want to celebrate those amazing days. But in reality, there are days like this where it is just tough. And we want to show it because there's two really amazing learning lessons. One is stick with what you know. You'll notice that I didn't use my Slam Shady. I should have stuck with what I know. And then when you do find fish, keep fishing those same trends. We should have stuck with the docks instead of getting greedy and going all over the place. So great lessons here. I hope you enjoy.
What's up, Salt Strong Nation? Joe Simons, like diamonds.
And Luke Simons.
We are back after all the amazing feedback we heard from the last podcast where we lost our camera to the ocean.
That was a tough one. That one hurt.
You guys missed that one? You can go check it out. It's called Sheep's Head on Demand, most expensive podcast ever. We did not get the camera back, but the great news is we got a new camera, and we have a camera guy, Cody, right behind us here. Yeah.
Our camera is safe now.
So what's funny? Oh, did you see that? Cast Cody! Oh, and what's cool about having Cody here now is we're going to be able to, be a little bit more interactive in terms of angles and rigging and things like that. But we heard so much amazing feedback. Got a strike?
So that's something.
So much amazing feedback that you guys love this live stuff, and so we're going unedited, unscripted, and just listen to what you guys want. And a thing that we heard, it's January, right? Last couple of days of January, we're filming this, and it's cold. You can see we have our not foul weather gear on, but we're pretty well covered.
But it's like 10 o'clock and the sun's out, but it's still cold. A cold front just came through.
And it's crazy low tide, if you can see here. I mean, you see the oysters.
There we are.
Got one?
Yep.
Luke's on.
Ladyfish. So a big question, or at least a lot of questions that we've been getting lately is, hey, what do you do in these winter mornings when the water's really low? And yeah, look at these docks. You can see a lot of oysters showing. All right, this water is very low. This is one of the extreme low tides in the morning, and this is the time where I used to just not even like fishing. I just thought that the fish had lockjaw. Right, it's cold, the water's real low. It's kind of hard to navigate. Right, it's okay. I had a lot of excuses not to go out, and I wouldn't go out. And what I've learned more recently is that this can actually be some of the best times to go fish. It is frustrating, right? The fish are usually all kind of in one little area, so they're tougher to find. But when you find them, right, you can have an absolute amazing day. You can catch a ton of fish in a short amount of time. And this is literally, I'm sure you heard the phrase catching fish in a barrel, right? This is literally the closest you can come to that, because these fish are literally, the amount of air they can go to is limited, right? The water's really far down, so these fish just literally have to congregate in small areas. And so the key is finding those areas, and that's that's what we're out trying to do today. This is we're fishing a spot we've never been to before, right? Just proving that that these concepts work regardless of where you are. So we just go into the right type of spot based on the conditions is the whole goal of today. And even though we have not fished here, we still have pretty high confidence that we're going to have some action.
And prior to going live, Luke actually did land a little redfish.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that there was at least something here. Typically, I like to see a lot of birds on the shoreline. We weren't seeing any birds at all, so we're kind of going down really fast. But if you look probably right over my head or right in between Joe and I, for those watching the video, there's a bunch of wading birds right on that shoreline. That is exactly what I like to see in the wintertime. Those birds are there for one reason.
Gonna catch a fish in this construction worker's face over there.
Yeah, those birds are there to eat, right?
My boy, lunker dog, Jeff Maggio, catching lunkers in people's faces.
They're there to eat. And
so why did we pick this spot?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, it's wind protected. Oh, there's some little minnows jumping around. It's wind protected. There's some deeper water, right? Or we have to find deeper water. Those fish literally have to get off these flats. So we got some little jacks or something. There's little small ladyfish. So we have some feeding activity, which is great. But as far as the online maps, all I did is I got on the online maps and just started looking for areas that had deeper water. The wind's coming out of the east, so I was looking for shorelines that were protected from an east wind, that also had deep water, and that had a variety of just different types of structure. Right here we have docks, we have oysters. This is really a textbook.
Hey, check out the name of that boat, spot. Dude. In lieu of diamonds, like Simon's.
And so this dock right here should hold fish.
I thought it was going to skip.
Yeah, if Joe could have a good cast, he probably would have caught one.
Still catch one.
But yeah, so we have just a lot of variance as far as the types of structure and types of spots. A lot of hiding spots for these fish. And this dock right here, it's right on the edge of a depth change. So I'm gonna try to get an extra cast in here. Nope, Joe might beat me to it.
I'll go for it.
Nope.
I don't want to embarrass myself left-handed.
So I just want to get down as many of those pilings as possible. And so the wind's got us now, so that's a problem. But I do know that there is a cove up ahead, just the fact that I looked on these online maps, and that should actually be a really good area. Up ahead, there's this nice little hole right here.
And also too, Cody, I mean, show this. I mean, we're obviously crazy low tide, and take note of stuff like this. I mean, look at that oyster bed there. When the tide comes up, that is going to be a little honey hole. Man, this area looks good up here.
Get some casts in this hole right here.
I don't know if you guys can see that without the sun being completely out right now, but there's a big pocket right ahead of us.
Yeah, and so again, another benefit of this coming out at low tide is the fact that, like Joe said, you can go out and just literally see what's happening, right? If you're in an area that doesn't have clear water and the online maps aren't quite as helpful, go out at low tide and you can literally see where the oyster bars are, right? At high tide, that oyster bar up ahead of us is totally submerged.
These little pinfish,
so you would never even see it.
Me.
Yeah, there's a lot of pinfish. So we got some life here. We got pelicans diving, these birds wading. I'll be surprised if we don't get something out of here.
That was a legit strike there.
And another key thing to know is that you can still, even on these winter days, you can have some good action without messing with live bait. Obviously, having live bait helps, but it also hurts as well because the live bait, if you use a shrimp or really anything else, you just can't cover as much water, right? And we all know that these fish are in pockets. They're not spread around like they are in the summer, like spring, summer, fall. And so if we can't cover water, that is going to decrease the odds that we're going to find the right pockets. Because no matter how good you are at reading maps, it's impossible to be perfect. And a lot of times it takes actually getting out there and literally just fishing and covering water.
Damn,
so
you guys see my rod tip.
Yeah, you're getting hammered. Yeah, so right now Joe's using a gulp jerk shad.
We decided to do a jerk shad versus a little paddle tail. God dang.
But
those little guys.
But we started off fishing docks, so I purposely took the paddle tail off of my paddle tail lure because I wanted to get down deep. Right now these fish are pretty cold. We just had a cold snap. So the fish are most likely going to be deep. And the paddle tail just has a lot of water drag, so it just decreases the lure's ability to get down deep. And so I literally took the paddle tail off so that it dives down quicker. And then as soon as I need to, as soon as I want to kind of float over the shallows again, then I'll just put a different bait on. Put a new bait with the paddle tail on it.
This is the new Slam Shady paddle tail that we're working on. So if you guys are listening and watching this, get a little inside scoop. It's a massive house, by the way. So what we've heard from a lot of you with, the existing Slam Shady paddle tail is that you love it. It catches an insane amount of fish, almost uncomfortable amount of fish. However, it can be tough to rig on certain jig heads, owner twist lock hooks, etc. And two, the smaller version, the Minnow Z, the 3-inch, which is our top seller, does not have any scent. And so those are two of the bigger things that we kind of fixed, if you will, is putting some scent on this 3-incher, and then also giving it a little bit different elasticity is the word, I believe, Luke. I got about a 500 on the SAT in English, so I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure, man, these pinfish are ruthless. But anyhow, those are two of the things that we're kind of fixing and testing out. We've been using a couple different paddle tails. This one, even though Luke can't show you because he ripped the paddle tail off, but it's got an amazing drop on it, doesn't it? In terms of the action when it's dropping.
it has a nice, it has a unique paddle that enables just a lot of action with a little bit of water resistance, right? So even weighted on a light jig head or even a weighted hook, as it's falling down, the tail is going to give a nice little flutter, and the drop. The reason why it's really important is because the drop of the lure is often when you get the actual strikes. So that's, so far the testing has been great, and the cool thing is that when you really need to get down really deep, like when it's more than like fishing these docks that we were just at, or these deeper holes that we're in now,
pinfish,
is that just pulling the tail off, it still has good action. It's not doing a helicopter. It's doing some really nice dart action to help hopefully trigger a strike. Caught a red just before we started filming. So we know there's at least some area that these pelicans are diving pretty good up ahead. There's an oyster bar up there too. That's probably going to be where the fish are. I
hear that?
I heard
I heard that in the microphone.
I heard a wind knot coming out of there.
Wind knot. Jeez. Of course, this will probably be the cast fry hook into something too.
Yeah, and so seeing those birds, so we have a bunch of wading birds up ahead of us, and seeing that, right, I now know that there's probably a good amount of food around here. So right now we're fishing the edge of this. I think it looks like an oyster bar. So we're fishing the edge of it.
Jeez Louise.
And come on the other side of me, Joe. So we're fishing the edge of that bar. And then if I was going to come back at a different time, like a high tide, I would be fishing right on that bar. Because there's a 100% chance that there's food right there. And any redfish nearby is most likely going to be sniffing it out, and they'll be up there feeding in that exact spot.
Trying to get
just needs to have some water.
Caught in the trolling motor. My wind knot.
So I'm kind of going slower than normal, just given how many good signs of life we're seeing, and just feeling for strikes.
Oh, no way. Oh.
You have one?
Well, I think it was just one of those really aggressive pinfish. That's pretty funny. While I'm trying to get my wind knot out. All right, I'm just going to leave the lure on the boat.
Yeah, so there's actually a little deep channel right there on the other side of the bar. We'll see if we can pull something out of that. Yeah, this is definitely looking very promising right now.
Well, of course, you say that right when I'm dealing with this guy.
All right, sun is out.
Oh yeah, sun's
fish.
out. We're feeling it now, baby. Now we just got to find the feeders. The feeders.
I'm gonna go ahead and speed up and we'll get in that cove. Right now we're not as wind protected as I thought. This wind looks like I have a little bit more south than what the forecast was saying. And so I do know that there's a cove up here, and so that's gonna be totally protected from the wind. And that water, the reason why it's important is that water is gonna be a little bit warmer than everywhere else, right? Just I don't care what the temperature is. I just want to be a fraction warmer than everywhere else. And that's where those fish are gonna naturally be congregating.
Luke, did you check out the Smart Fishing Tide strike score at all?
Yeah, it was like a 6.5 or 7. I can't remember. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good.
What was the wind knot strike score?
The wind knot strike score was a 10 apparently.
Jeez, so close.
Yeah, I'm getting some strikes. There's something down there messing with me. So we have.
There we go, baby.
Right now, a lot of times the best areas to fish are areas where there's a depth change. And so right now we have really 2 depth changes. We're sitting in probably, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 feet of water, hopefully deeper than that. I literally haven't even looked. But I can see, I think I heard another one come out of there.
Nope.
I can see the shallows on both sides. So we're fishing, both sides of the boat, which are both going to be depth changes, which should be the areas that have the most action.
Go find some more docks, huh?
Yeah, I might need to go back to docks. There's some more docks up ahead past the canal. Go ahead and speed up and just keep moving along. And again, the key is covering area, covering ground. Get long cast, light line, cover ground, knowing that these fish aren't going to be everywhere. But as soon as we do find them, then it's go time. Then we get some action.
I feel like I should have stuck with my Slam Shady.
Yeah, shouldn't be cheating on the Slam Shady, Joe.
Well, we want to do a little contest,
But granted, I'm not having a ton either.
Yeah, but you landed a red. And so far, I got a bunch of pinfish and a wind knot.
Yeah, so these birds up ahead are feeding pretty well. So I'm, I just had to hit. Oh, there we are. There we are. I think that's a trout. Or it might be a ladyfish. It's fighting kind of weird. Yeah, ladyfish. Dang it. Well, it's something though. Get some action.
What's up?
Got some
I told you we were going to catch a fish in those construction guys' faces.
Construction workers up there having a hoot. All right, so there's at least some feeding action. Again, that's not our target species, but it's something and just a sign of life. And generally where there's going to be ladyfish like that, when you're around structure, there's going to be other feeding, like trout and redfish. So these
guys are having some fun up there.
Yeah. These pelicans,
pelicans are diving.
Dove right in our faces. Don't be catching them. Ooh. That one definitely got some food.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
Yeah, so we're in a good zone for sure.
We just got to find the feeders, baby.
Yep. I think they're going to be around this flat. I'm pretty sure from the online maps, this little cove has some deeper water.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, that's where the trout should be.
Are you going any slower or faster on your retrieve?
Yeah, I'm
trying to make sure you're on the bottom.
Yeah, I'm going as slow as I can while still covering area.
How do you like that weedless?
I love it for fishing docks. It's definitely, I'll be doing a review on it here soon. I've been testing it out. This is the weedless jig head. This one in particular is made by Z-Man. And there are some pros, but it's been really good for fishing tight to structure, right? Especially hard structure like docks and rocks and stuff. But I definitely have seen it I've definitely seen a decrease in hookup rates from getting, strike to hookup ratio, if you will. So it does block some actual hookups, but when fishing hard structures like docks and rocks, if you're getting in there aggressive, casting right in the pilings or in the rocks, it is a game changer because you're not wasting a bunch of time, breaking off and retying. So they're good. I generally don't use them when fishing open areas like this. Like I just literally missed a strike right there. But we're going live, and I don't want to be wasting time retying, so I'm just sticking with it.
I was doing a little bit of a helicopter earlier.
Yeah, for those using soft plastic, I love soft plastics. But if they're not rigged right, if they're helicoptering in the water, they will not work. It's all about rigging them properly. That's the biggest mistake I see. People not having success with lures, particularly soft plastics. And I'll look to see how they're rigging them. I take somebody a little bit newer out. Even experienced people won't rig them properly, and there'll be a kink in it, or it's not perfectly lined, and it'll be prone to helicopter. And that is the easiest way to go out and get skunked, is to be using a bait that's not rigged properly. If it doesn't look natural in the water, it is not going to catch fish. Oh. And conversely, right, if you know how to rig them properly, you can get a little creative and tear off paddle tails from the paddle tail lure and actually do better than you would with the paddle tail itself.
Had a little strike there.
You had a little strike?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a good one not there. That one's...
What is going on with this line? Power Pro? Come on now. Of course, I like to blame it on the line when it's a big part of that is me. Ooh, this one's gonna come out. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times when not happens,
actually,
it's gonna keep happening.
Let me get this in before I cause even more damage with a troll motor.
I got you on this side of it.
I'm gonna take it in the back. Cody, you film Luke. Hopefully. Well, guys, this is what you get to see: the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this, my friends, is ugly.
Yeah, so this area right here, we have these birds. This is a zone they've been diving, so there should be some fish. There, just keep on diving.
Yeah, it seems like we got everything we need. There's clearly bait because we're getting annihilated by pinfish. Lots of birds.
I'm about to go back to the paddle tail.
Yeah, I think I am too.
Probably just ought to reel it up and use your other rod, Joe.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Just give up on it.
Since we only have a limited time here on this podcast.
Yeah, those wind knots, they are frustrating. It's just, they happen every once in a while. A lot of times it happens like after using a lure like a spoon or something that twists up the line a lot, or if you have too much line in your reel. And, oh, there we go. Oh, whoa, I almost hit the camera on that one. I had a fish fall right to the boat. Sorry, Cody, almost got you. Yeah, as soon as you get those wind knots, I mean, if it's bad and there's just like, it'll leave just a little minor kink in the line, and just that little kink will eventually cause another wind knot. So a lot of times, if you see it happening a lot, you have to cut it out and then hope you have enough line still.
See? Slam Shady. Whoa! Almost fell off the cooler, dude. That would have been epic. And this one definitely has the right amount of line on there. The other one was probably a little bit too full, and I had been using a spoon. Thank you for asking. And I think I'm gonna have to just completely redo it.
Yeah, or I mean, if there is having twisted line is, I mean, obviously it's not good, but there's an easy way to get it out, and we have a video on doing that. But you basically, when you're going in the idle zone or whatever, and you just take everything off, no leader, no lure, and nothing, just the line, and just let it out. Let it out behind the boat, drag it, let it 100 yards out, plus or minus, drag it behind the boat for a while. And what happens is the actual water, the water will naturally basically pull those twists out of the line.
And then you got CA's old chapstick trick.
Yeah. That's for getting out the wind,
Did I
wind
get
knots.
jacked? I thought I felt a little thump, but it was this pesky pinfish again. Didn't feel like a good strike.
All right, so Joe's now has the paddle tail. I have the paddle tail-less paddle tail. Oh,
Yeah, there's a ton of bait down there, dude.
yeah. Yeah, this should be a good spot. So right now we're basically at the bottom, like the very low of the low tide, and so the water's really not moving much. A lot of times that's not a huge factor in the winter. They're looking for warmth, but the bite should pick up as the current starts finally picking up, which should happen hopefully any second now. So right now there's basically no water movement, but these birds are feeding at least. There's definitely some food here, and there should definitely be some predators in the area as well.
And we're getting a lot of little thumps.
There's a lot
Just nothing big.
wish we were filming with that had that redfish part of it. That happened pretty quick.
Yeah, it happened before we could even start the camera going.
And
What happens when you catch fish too fast? Of course, now the cameras are on, and
but
nothing but
also
wind knots and
that happened when we were fishing around a dock too. So we have some docks up ahead that these fish could just be holding. One of my favorite things to do. Something small. One of my favorite types of spots to fish, on these low tides, are docks. Right, finding like a cove with docks. We have a lot of videos on doing that, and it's just a good form of structure that fish will utilize on periods like that, where, especially in the wintertime, where it gets cold, but also goes from days, like multiple days of warming, that gets almost back to like fall type situations and feeding patterns. And docks will basically enable them to go, deep and shallow without exposing themselves to dolphin.
So guys, this is this is the real life. The last two podcasts we did live, we've been really lucky. Meaning within minutes we catch fish, and sometimes you got to work for it and find where they are. Normally, in the wintertime, the great news is when you find them, you kind of find them. And we went fishing with Captain Tyler here recently, and same deal, right?
Not here, but
nearby, and same kind of deal. We kind of struggled for a while, and then all of a sudden we found one area, and we caught 5-6 redfish in that one spot.
Yep.
And flounder, and I guess a couple little trout. I mean, they were all just stacked in one spot. So that's part of another big reason to use artificial lures and use things like a paddle tail or a spoon. So you can cover a lot of ground, use the trolling motor, and just keep going so you start getting some consistent strikes. We know we're in the right area. I mean, with all this bait around, my goodness. I just want to at least get a little trout thump or something besides a ladyfish and a pinfish.
Yeah, feeling good about this dock coming up here.
This one right here?
Yep. So for those listening, we're pulling up this little cove. It's going to have some wind protection, should have some deeper water. But there really hasn't been all that many docks with deep water, and this one should have some deep water, has some moistures nearby up there that we can see on the shoreline with this low water. And there should be some
pelicans
fish.
Staged up on the dock. Of course, they seem to be a little bit more into pooping than feeding right now. But pooping comes after feeding, so they have been feeding. God, I'm getting just all these little pop, 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 pop. So frustrating. Of course, I try to rip the paddle off the Z-Man one, and it's almost impossible to do. Might break my teeth. What do you think? Go aggressive with a?
Yeah, we'll fish the outside first, because the red earlier hit about 5 feet off the dock.
Were you near the bottom?
Yeah, I was bouncing on the bottom. And so we're gonna cover this.
So
one
how
pretty
much in the
nice.
wintertime Do you think it's kind of a reaction strike of just being in their face?
Well, I mean, that's all season, right? That's the goal, is get reaction strike.
Well, meaning, like with Tyler, it seemed like the straight retrieve wasn't working. You almost had to like just kind of like tick him off and have it pop right in front of him.
Yep.
So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the key is get right in their face, and they're not, wintertime, they're not super aggressive. Their metabolism's slower, so they literally do not have to eat as much, and they're just not very comfortable, especially mornings like this where a cold front just came through. So yeah, to get right in their face and try to keep it there and just make it look like an easy meal. Like, make it look like it's something that's not going to be hard to chase down, that they're almost crazy not to eat it. And so in many cases that means getting it down there on the bottom. I do kind of short twitches, little small twitches, and let it drop. And in many cases they'll hit it right on the drop.
Ooh, nice.
So I'm just casting right down along these pilings. Let it fall down, and just kind of some slow twitches out of there.
Dang, come on. There's got to be some reds underneath there. Right? Nothing?
Nothing there.
I'll have to go back catching sheep's head. Sheesh. A whole lot easier yesterday. Yesterday we went out and artificial lure sheep's head. It's chase baits, dude.
Yeah, those little crab lures are fun.
It ain't cheap.
I've tested out a bunch of them. It's not just the chase baits. There's some Savage Gear makes some good ones. Depends on the type of, I'll be doing a review on that too. Depends on the type of fish you're doing.
I need to get a new Slam Shady. It's falling off my jig head.
Yeah, sometimes these little coves like this can be good. A lot of times they get a lot of fishing pressure. Like I'm noticing there's a cast net sitting on the seawall back there. So I'm guessing somebody was throwing their cast net in here recently. But it's worth a shot.
Yeah. At this point, we have absolutely nothing to lose except our dignity, pride. Cody's like, I thought these guys could catch fish, and we're here looking like a bunch of chumps.
Actually, I'm seeing some bait fish way up there.
You are?
Yeah.
A couple birds. Another cast net. What is this, the cast net haven?
Where's the other cast net?
Sitting on the end of that dock, right?
Yeah.
Look at that. That's right where I just cast. Come on now.
Yeah, this area likely gets a lot of pressure, so we'll kind of make it quick.
Oh boy. Oh, come on, pop off. Can we talk about dock etiquette real quick?
We'll do a whole video on that. So, for
Rule
those who
number
are,
one is try not to do what I do, and if you do, don't get on people's docks.
yeah. So on a dock now, and just what you want to do is be mindful of these people's property. It's impossible to never get stuck. Usually when fishing a dock, make sure that you never even get it high enough to even get on said dock.
Got it.
So the key is get a skip cast, where you never even get high enough to get stuck on top of the dock.
Back good. Yep.
And if you're casting overhand, if you're casting,
Good job, camera
casting
guy.
overhand, thanks Cody, rod save. Forgot there was a rod in the back holder there. Yeah, if you're casting overhand, just don't ever try to go under a dock casting overhand. Always cast to the side, to one of the sides of the dock. And obviously be mindful of the wind, right? Know that the wind is gonna blow your line one way or the other. And so what I'm curious about is this little, up ahead, there's a little creek that's kind of emptying out, a little spillway, if you will. And I wasn't gonna skip it, but I saw these birds up here along the shoreline. I'm seeing some little bait fish up basically right at the mouth of this little creek. And so even though I'm seeing cast nets all over, I just felt like we have to try it. Even if it works, it'll be cool. If not, worth a shot.
Could be the worst decision of the day, though.
Could be a bad decision, but that's part of fishing. You just never know. Never know till you try.
It's also part of fishing a new area. We know that this is a good spot based on what we're seeing. Sometimes it just ain't the day. Not that I'm making excuses. But you know, things are getting difficult when I got to put on a new slam shading. Oh, that one looks just good. Make sure I don't knock over our camera guy. Can't really afford to have another camera go in. Another life lesson is to always get insurance on equipment that you will be using around saltwater. Doggone, that was painful.
All right, so nothing in
What's
there.
funny is we had bought another camera, a cheaper one, like, you know, an $800 one versus the $3,200 one that went in, and we bought insurance on that for some reason. I'm looking up purchases, and I was like, oh yes, we did buy it. And then I saw it was the other camera, and I was like, what are the chances? So this round, we bought it. Dude, it was only like $90 or something to get insurance on a 3200. 2 years. That doesn't mean you have permission to dump the camera in, Cody. No, it doesn't.
All right, finally getting warm enough to ditch the jacket for me.
All right, let's get out of the academy here and go put on a clinic somewhere else. Clinic of our father went to school here, by the way, many moons ago.
All
So
right.
A lot has changed.
So now going back to dock fishing. We're gonna kind of buzz out. This cove is where I thought they'd be, and it was definitely a bust. So back to square one with docks. It's kind of almost been my go-to. When in doubt, try some docks with some depth changes. And I did look at these on the map. They do have a decent amount of depth, not as much as I generally like. I was really banking on this cove to work. But you never know. Never know till you go. And so my backup plan is these docks starting here and right around the corner. So hope for the best, plan for the worst, and just knowing that eventually we're going to find them. Hopefully before the battery runs out.
Yeah, hopefully the camera's still going and the podcast is on. And so what happens if you don't catch any fish here, Luke?
Well, if we didn't have the camera, I would have actually probably
That's kind of
taken the motor up. Yeah, I would have actually totally gone to a whole new area.
So what do you give it? 20 minutes max?
No, I mean, if we didn't see all these birds, I mean, the fish are here. If we didn't see all these birds, we would have totally been gone. But seeing all this bait and stuff, there's definitely fish around. So I'd give it, you know, just like now, like at least 30, and try the different things. Right? We tried the cove, didn't work. We tried some of the docks. We got one red, but not like we just haven't found like the one zone where I know we're close. But sometimes just the fish are here, right? You can be in like the perfect spot, and there's just simply just not many fish around here. Like I haven't fished this area in probably 2 years. So I just have no idea if the fish are in the zone. Ideally, if I was fishing the normal waters, I know where there's at least a decent amount of fish, and just knowing where the general areas is really strong because you can just find those, you know, the little spots that are most likely going to hold the fish.
Pelicans diving out. They're like, man, they're mocking us.
Most likely going to have the a little bit warmer temperatures, and knowing that the fish are going to be there, right? Because all the fish in the area are going to naturally go to that zone. In this case, I literally am not sure.
You can probably hear the pelicans diving on the podcast.
Yeah, they're actually diving in pretty shallow water. I can actually see mud boils from those dolphins or from those pelicans.
It's crazy.
It's not as deep as I thought.
Is that what that is? Those little mud boils right
Yeah.
there? Hey. don't know if you can see that, Cody, but or are they manatees or something down there? It seems crazy that it would be that shallow for those guys to hit. Stir up that much mud. But you never know. All right, Doc. Doc number 1. Step up to the plate. See if we can't get us something here.
Yeah, and the fact that, dock fishing is usually a little bit simpler on these low tides because those fish have to pull out. It's going to be really shallow toward the shoreline. And so typically it's just like the last 10 to 20 feet of the docks are going to be where the action is.
And we're here to find it, baby.
Yep.
Oh, got a little mud on there. Let's do a little. Oh yeah. I don't know if you picked that up, Cody. That kind of deserves a strike. There's a fish down there. He's got to eat it.
And this is where the weedless jig head is really effective. I can get pretty aggressive.
Right down there in the middle of it all.
Can I get aggressive with a skip cast up under there without having to worry about lots of people sink like things under their docks. So I can basically bounce off of anything down there without the hook point getting set. But then as soon as I feel a strike, give it a nice hook set and game on. Yeah, that dock looked good.
Yeah, I mean, compared to this dock that's almost out of water right now. Ooh, good cast. Dang. Well, sun's coming out. I got all kinds of nose gunk on here. Oh, helicopter's coming to save us. Say, I heard we got some boys out here fishing 30 minutes, can't catch any fish. Come to save them. I thought the third time was supposed to be like Lucky Charm.
Third video?
Yeah.
Not today.
It's the opposite. Well, at least we have a dry camera so far, right, Cody? We got some waves here. This is what happened to us last time. We took them for granted. Next thing you know, well, JoJo's making a Pete Rose dive, trying to save the camera gear. What happened to that house? Redoing everything?
Yep. Birds are still diving around here. We've got food.
At this point, I will be happy with a nice little trout.
Oh, there we are. There we are. That's a decent fish. I think it's a red. Watch your line. Just come behind me. Yeah, finally got one. That was on the short dock of all places.
Jeez.
Yeah, we had to work for this darn fish, but again, this is just proof that if you're not catching anything, it's not your lure. It's not that you're in a bad spot, or I guess
that's a nice red.
If you see a lot of bait fish, it's generally not going to be that you're not in a good spot. You just haven't found the zone. All right, so I'm not using a fancy lure. I'm literally using a paddle tail.
Well, it's slam shady. It's a little fancy.
Yeah, that's.
So as you guys listening that are still with us, wow, we finally got that's a nice red, man. It's a good looking red.
Yeah, it's a solid one.
That is so crazy on the shortest dock.
I'll show you the lure too. It is a customized paddle tail.
And our boy Jake, I promised him we'd get a good thumbnail picture for this, so I'm going to get a picture of you.
Let's get this guy up here. Come on, bud.
Holding this beautiful red.
It's a solid fish. Come on.
Oh boy.
There we are.
Oh yeah, baby.
So, yeah, you can see that's a paddle tail, slam shady paddle tail, and I literally pulled the paddle tail off. Let me get this blood out of there. Literally pulled that paddle tail off so that it would dive down quicker. Let me get this puppy out. So we
Good job, man. It's a nice red.
Got some.
Luke's having to do
bleeder.
some surgery on him. Use some pliers? Let me use my strong hand. Is that weed guard messing you up?
There we are. So that's a solid fish.
Get a quick little pick.
Just let the blood off there. It's not a huge one, but bailed us out of a total bust.
Here, move your thumb
All right,
to get
we'll get this guy in there. All right.
Got to get that beautiful spot on there, dude.
All right, that's plenty.
All right.
Let this guy get back in there.
All right. So did you catch him off the dock underneath?
It was about a foot away. So here's the bait, right? Slam shady paddle tail. I pulled off the paddle tail, so we'll go down deeper. These little weed guards are pretty cool. All right, just put the weed guard back on. It's ready to rock. Line's not chafed up, so time to go out there and catch some more. All right, I knew we'd get one eventually.
Yeah.
Or technically that was two, but we didn't.
Hey,
didn't
didn't
have the
happen
camera going
on
earlier.
a camera.
And so a lot of times you find one, kind of keep fishing that dock. This is not the biggest dock, so there's probably not a ton on it.
Could stay here for hours. Some birds got into that cushions up there.
Yeah.
Tough day to be a cushion on that dock. God, I'm getting a little gunk on there. Try this one more dock here, one more, and
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
right behind us.
Yeah, I just don't think there's a lot of fish here right now, for whatever reason. Or maybe they could be right around this corner here. But so right now the trend is docks. So depending on how long we stay out here, probably just keep fishing docks. I should have just stuck with it, and that's generally what I do in tough conditions. That cove is just looking so nice on the map.
That is the learning lesson of the day. So before we got started, I hadn't even wet a line yet. I was still rigging up, and Luke makes a cast and catches a red at a dock. And then we, I don't know, we got a little too greedy, didn't we?
But years ago, right, I would have changed lures about 12 times. Right, we weren't catching anything. We saw signs of life.
What are you trying to say, huh? I changed lures.
Yeah, but I would have kept blaming the lure. Oh, I don't have the right lure or whatever. The reality was we just weren't getting in front of some fish's faces. And so the key wasn't to change lure; it was just to keep moving. Is the core lesson. So what I do now is I just get a lure that I trust, which in this case is a Slam Shady. Even if it's not able to get down deep enough to where I want, I will customize it. I'll rip off the tail and keep using it. And just knowing that if I can just get it in front of a fish that's at least somewhat interested in eating, or even not, right? I'm still confident I can get them to strike. It's way more important to be an expert with one or two lures than to be good at using a whole tackle store.
Yep.
Better on the wallet, and literally better in actually catching fish as well.
All right, cool. Well, you want to wrap it up, dude? I feel like we
Yeah, I think we covered everything.
got everything we needed.
I want to keep fishing these docks. So.
Well, we're going to keep fishing.
I think, right here, we're around this. We're going to get out of the wind and more docks. I think this could be the honey hole up here.
Well, friends, you're going to have to stay tuned to the next episode to find out. We'll have to get a new battery pack on and see if we can do round 2. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. Hopefully that wasn't too painful. Trying to make these fun and just real. I mean, there's days out here. I think Captain Mike Anderson said it best. You know, he's a full-time guide and has the fishing show Real Animals. And he said in any given month, he's found there's like 14 days that are just hot. Those are the days where you just kind of see everyone and anyone is catching fish. And then there's another 14, 15 days where it's just a grind, where even the guides, it's the days, and any guide knows that, there's some days where it's just an absolute grind to get people on fish. And sometimes you just got to go fishing for jacks and ladies and kudas, or just something to get to make sure your customers are happy. And there's a couple days in there that are just a coin toss. And so this is one of the days, kind of a grind. And I think it's cool to see the realness, right? I feel like, and we've been guilty of this as well in the past. You always want to show the best fish picks and all the amazing trips. And there's days like this where you got to work for 35, 40 minutes before you really start catching any fish. So
it's easy when it's easy. It's easy on the good days.
Be called catching, right? Isn't that what I say? Be called catching. But yeah, if you like these, let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback, of course, at saltstrong.com. And we have, I think it's saltstrong.com/podcast, or just look on the fishing tips section and you'll see this video podcast. You might be there right now, for all I know. Leave us a comment down below. That's where we check all the comments. And let us know what you liked, what you want to see differently, if certain camera angles, if you want us to go fish new places. We're talking about doing that, having some guests on. I think we're going to do one with Peter Deek soon. I talked to my buddy Captain Patrick Garmison in Alabama, doing some road trips and doing these, and just showing like real life on the water, what it's like, including wind knots and getting stuck on docks and all the things that I'm usually pretty good for making people laugh and realizing that, hey, these are just normal guys out there trying to get some tight lines, create some memories. So that's it. Thank you so much for all the love, all the support. And definitely, if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast. Even if you're watching this on the tuber, go to the Salt Strong Fishing Podcast, Apples, iTunes, the Stitchers, Spotify, wherever. There's a million places these things running now. And subscribe and leave us a review. It means a lot to us. That's it. Until the next episode, we be out. Peace.
See ya.
See ya.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul, it was pain.